us to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right. We enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
America. It is still a great land of opportunity and freedom. You can succeed here if you try. If you try. Let's all try harder today to be better Americans. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, folks, on a Wednesday. And a good morning to you and yours as we sit here in the Zeb at the Ranch studio. Good morning. And, of course, our major sponsor is your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you in a very safe, clean environment, and, of course, always the best in tires for you. Also, a big thank you goes out to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Let's go to the phone line right now and have a real, true red, white, and blue patriot. Good morning with our pledge.
Good morning, Zeb. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Always depend on you, Jerry.
Riots in Boise now.
Yeah.
Going to the point, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely, Jerry.
They need to do something about it. It needs to be nipped in the bud to where anybody that does any damage to any of our buildings up there spends at least 20 years in prison at hard labor on moldy bread and salty water.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. Jerry, I got to run, but I do appreciate and respect your comments. Thank you very, very much.
Have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I have no sympathy with anything going on with these loony left individuals that are out to destroy our country. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Caller, you're going to have to stand by for a moment, please. And don't forget, K&R Rental has the best of tools and equipment for any and all the construction projects or projects in general that you need equipment for. I mean, they've got tools and equipment for both the long and short term, and all you've got to do is get on over there on the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. And want to talk to them first? Maybe visit with Roger about what you might need, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Showers and a red flag warning is what we're in for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting about a 50% chance of rain showers plus thunderstorms by the afternoon, so that's going to put us in that red flag warning. High of 86 is what we're looking at, and it's going to be a little bit breezy out there as well. Tonight, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 64. Tomorrow, slight chance of showers in the late afternoon hours, plus some thunderstorms as well, mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of about 57. Then for Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. She does a great job on the weather, and I really compliment her. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Yes, sirree, Bobby, they've got everything over there. You drive by on the Burley-Paul Highway, and you can see all the big, heavy equipment out there. I mean, they've got all kinds of buildings filled with equipment for you. For any task, any job at K&R Rental. Get a hold of them today. Like I said, call Roger. Discuss what you need, 678-3122 on the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Want to also give a great big shout out this morning, as we always do every day on our program, to our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they literally have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. That's not brag, that's a fact. And especially with the warmer weather, 90s, 95, 96, better get in there and check out the new air conditioning filters for your air conditioner. You want to stay cool? Absolutely. Stop in and see Ramsey Heating and Electric today. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. On October the 1st, not October, but August 1st, there's supposed to be a rally down here in Twin Falls at the park. And I hope if Antifa and Black Lives members come down here to solve a problem, it's time to light the fuse with these people.
Well,
I'm sick and tired of hearing our police being abused, being killed.
Amen.
And if this is what they're coming down here for, time to light the fuse.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in favor of the Freedom is the Cure, advancing our constitutional republic in the Magic Valley, Saturday, August 1st, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Twin Falls City Park. It's free admission, and they're going to have a lot of outstanding speakers. And like you, I mean, this is where the rubber's going to meet the road, and I'm absolutely adamant that these kind of functions need to go on. We have a lot to be proud of in this country. We have a lot to preserve in this country. And so for those freedom lovers and our constitutional values, I support what's going on August 1st. Tony, I'm right with you. I appreciate it.
Well, okay, I'm spreading the word all over.
All right, my friend. Hey, God bless you, Tony. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Don't forget our friends at Dino Septic Service. And caller number 2, I'll be right there. Stand by. Dino Septic Service, of course, septic tank pumping. Can you imagine on these hot days, you don't want to be standing out there with your hands on your hips going, oh, boy, this is not a fun job. Septic tank pumping, liquid waste removal, septic inspection, sewer and sink drain lines clean, backhoe service. Boy, they're good. They're good. Dino Septic Service. And they've got the latest of equipment, too, to serve you. Number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service. They are the best at what they do. Dino Septic Service. You get a hold of them today. Real quick, caller, I want to remind everybody that next week is going to be a fun time for it. We got to let our hair down a little bit and get back to the basics of acknowledging we live in the greatest area in the United States, and that means next week the Minidoka County Fair and Rodeo. My goodness sakes, it's going to be all week long. Don't miss it. All American flair at the Minidoka Fair. Absolutely. July 27th through August 1st, and they're going to have an open rodeo, junior rodeos, concert, all kinds of great things like lawnmower races, Tiny Tot Gymkhana. Get a list of the schedule. I'll be referring to it every day because these people really put on an event for you. The Minidoka County Fair next week, July 27th through August 1st. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Sam. You know, last Wednesday, I had a doctor's appointment in Salt Lake, and I went out past that, naturally, that interchange that goes to Ogden on the freeway, and I didn't think much of it there because you just had a straight, you know, it just blended real nicely. And then on the way back, doggone it, they haven't done a darn thing to change it. You know, that curve, as you come under the underpass, coming from Salt Lake, is just as dangerous now as it was before.
I don't see, I'm glad you called on this, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I've got other things that I'm going to deem as necessary to get on this morning. But I don't see any vast change or improvement for the better or anything. I mean, please, I'm not a architect of roads and interstates, but I don't understand the premise of what they've done, what they've spent, and what they've achieved. Help me on that, please.
Well, I can tell you one thing. You come down the road 80 miles an hour, and you come to that, and that curve is still there. Now, some people will slow down if they know it's coming.
Yeah.
But if you don't, 80 miles an hour on that curve is a little bit dangerous.
Well, I tell you what, the whole premise of what's being done out there and the dangers and the hazards, and initially last fall, I'll tell you what, going to Pocatello and coming back from Pocatello at night, the way that the lights and the signs were, and it was really hard to perceive where you are or where you're going, I think it's been absolutely unsafe and ludicrous. That's my personal opinion. Maybe you don't agree.
I agree, but when they put a sign up there that says, don't rely on your GPS, well, something's got to be seriously wrong.
You're flying by the seat of your pants there, Bucky.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, just wanted to complain a little bit. It probably cost millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was, it was a 2 or 3 year project.
I just don't see the benefit. I'm sorry, I do not see the benefit. And somebody that's really heavy into road improvement or freeway and interchange improvement that really knows what they're talking about and has credentials that wants to get on the air, they're welcome to call in because I'm not seeing it. I think I'm being fairly observant, but I just don't see it. Keith, God bless you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
All right, sir. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. People that have gone with me up to Pocatello and back or whatever over in that area have said, what is all this for? Why? Don't forget Denny's Restaurant. We're going to be over there tomorrow for Zeb's Lunch Bunch at 611 North Overland in Burley. Now, we've set up some rules for the lunch bunch, and they're fairly obvious rules, of course. We're going to be at Lunch Bunch at Denny's tomorrow. Wear your masks, if you would, please, inside. We're going to social distance and no handshaking. And another thing, no standing over somebody and visiting. Sit down, look them in the eye, but we're not going to stand over everybody while they're trying to enjoy their meal. We're going to do this. We're going to do this and have lunch bunch. And I want the people that come out, we've got to start enjoying life more. And I'm sick and tired of all the naysayers. So we're going to be at America's Diner tomorrow at 11:30 at 611 North Overland in Burley. Great food. That's absolutely the truth. Nice people serving us at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, you bring up that interchange. Do you have any idea how many millions of dollars that thing's cost? And absolutely, when they're all done, they're not going to improve that at all. It's just a waste of money, in my opinion, just like the previous callers pointed out.
Well, I don't know how many millions of dollars it cost. I'm going to do a little checking into that. I admit I've been lax on that subject because I've had other, I think, more important subjects to rely on. But I don't see. Now, just basically tell me this. I know you travel a lot up and down that area. I do too. I don't see the substantial or increased benefits from what they've done.
Oh, I go through it quite frequently, and it's just unbelievable. And the signing was so bad that a lot of people that wanted to go to eastern Idaho end up heading to Ogden.
Well, let me interrupt you right there, Adrian.
Behind the truck, and this one of those signs, you're going to be in the long lane and follow the truck around the corner to Salt Lake or whatever. But the reason I'm calling, and I know I've never been so fearful for the future of this country, Zeb, as I am now. It just seems like Satan and his workers have got all the aces. We've got God on our side, but boy, we've got to have more people stand up. And I hope people will come out to this freedom rally on August 1st and at 10 o'clock at the Twin Falls City Park. And we've got Lieutenant Governor is coming, and we've got Ammon Bundy. There's just an outstanding group of speakers going to speak on a lot of different issues. But it just seems that the Democrats, they want to have this write-in vote, vote by mail. If that happens, there's a good chance we'll lose the country. country.
Well, there's no question about it. Hey, Adrian, let me jump in. Wait, wait a minute. Adrian, please. Adrian, wait a minute. Let me interchange with you here a little bit because I can't let you just ramble. I agree with everything you said. I'm going to be really supportive of the Freedom is the Cure rally you're going to have on August 1st. Absolutely, I'm going to highlight it every day on my program. But we got to have a discussion on one issue and not jump to 30. Mail-in elections. I will never, ever support on this program again, and I'm drawing a line under my words. I will never support mail-in balloting again on my program. I did it once. I will not do it again.
Well, a good source close to our Secretary General, Lawrence Denny, said that it's voter fraud in our primary. And, so if we can do it here in Idaho, you get somebody that's, they go out and do this ballot harvesting. And there was, you heard of all the problems with that, but in these battleground states like Michigan and Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, and so forth, you can bet that they are working hard to make sure those states go to Joe Biden.
Absolutely.
If they allow that to happen, I mean, I'm not so certain. I think Trump would win hands down in an honest election, and I'm glad he's come out and said, "Will you accept the?" He hasn't made a statement on that, but why should he? Because if you know that they're cheating out there, you just know that. Why should you accept it if you know that they've been cheating? All
right, well, I'm going to wrap up our conversation right there, and I'm going to say this, Adrian. I totally agree with you, and we're going to have more segments on the anti-mail-in balloting. My feeling is this. We have polls. We can go to the polls. There's no excuse not to go to the polls. It's only slovenliness and laziness that creates an attitude of not going to vote. I am not going to adhere to this attitude of, it's so much easier to vote at home. Yeah, and it's so much more easier to construct and wreck an election by mail-in balloting. I've got to run and do a commercial. Thank you, as always, for your call. I do appreciate it.
Well, be careful out there, and I'm not one. People need to look at the other side of a mask situation. Look up Google health hazards of wearing a mask. For some people, you and me in that age bracket, wearing a mask all the time really can be a dangerous thing.
That's absolutely true.
Carbon dioxide.
That's true.
So that's my feeling on that.
I agree with you.
Thanks a lot, Deb.
All right, sir. Thank you. I'm going to go along with that. There's always these people that are writing letters, wear a mask, don't make me sick, and all this kind of stuff. Yes, I'm going to wear a mask when I go. I've said this almost every day on this program. And yet I get some cue balls that'll call me and say, well, you said this and you said that. No, wait a minute. Make sure you quote me correctly. I have said that I will wear a mask when I go into a business primarily for my own protection, and my wife will wear a mask for her protection also. Okay? When I'm out of that business, I take it off. I can't stand to wear the mask because of the lack of breathing, the lack of quality air, etc. But I'm going to do it out of respect for others when I'm in a closed area with other people. I will, and I will accept the fact that it's probably the best thing to do. But don't harangue me and call me and say, well, you're against mask wearing. You said on your radio program you'll never wear a mask. That's not the truth. I said the minute I'm outside, outdoors, it comes off. Nobody's going to force me. Nobody. From the time I leave my house to wherever I'm going to wear a mask 24/7, 365, no matter what the circumstances are, and they call it out in public. Ain't gonna happen. Calls welcome, 436-2244. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about our friends at Redder's Showcase. They've got a great big, huge, and that means really big, indoor tent sale going on right now. Man, can you save a lot of money on the best of American-made products like their great appliances. I mean, we're talking Whirlpool, Speed Queen, Serta, all this. You can get an 18 cubic foot refrigerator for just $5.99. dishwashers starting at just $349. Get in there today. Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland Avenue for a huge, really big indoor tent sale at Redder's Showcase. Don't forget, too, on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox right on the square in Rupert. If you can answer the trivia question, you're going to win the cookies. Sophie's Chatterbox, great restaurant and great bakery at 530 East Street in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again, Zeb. You know, you got to help me out on this because I don't know the answer. But my wife has got a dental appointment this morning at 11 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
How do you wear your mask when he's trying to look in your mouth?
Well, you know, that's frivolous to even think of it that you can do it. I mean, it's idiotic. You know, of course, know that dental procedures are going to exercise and employ every safety precaution they can possibly do. Any and all dentist offices, the dentist, the staff, etc., are going to do the utmost to make sure that everything is up to speed for your safety and security. So don't worry about it. I mean, the idiocy of some of the left saying, well, you can't take your mask off and all that, it's garbage. It's garbage, okay?
I was just trying to be humorous, but...
It's not really funny. It's not really funny, Keith. Yeah. I look at a lot of this situation. Wait a minute.
Be wearing a mask, you can count on that.
No, I tell you what, Keith, you bring up a lot of good subjects every morning when you call in, and I appreciate that. But, Looney Tunes left. I've heard some people, there was a guy on the news, and I can't be quoted on this. He was a guest host on a news program. It's been back in, the first part of June or something. And he was making we're going to have to stop going to dentists offices because we have to wear a mask and we can't breathe on anybody. And I thought, with medical science and dental science and all the professionalism that great dentist offices have, I mean, come on, get real. They're going to take every precaution for your safety, their safety, and to say not to go to dentist office is Looney Tunes.
Well, again, that rally that you're going to, that we're going to have in Twin Falls, boy, that looks like that's going to be a tricky situation because of the mask.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, people can wear their masks. They can social distance. They can, speakers, of course, when they're up at the microphone, and they social distance by being up at the microphone at the podium. I don't see any problem whatsoever. I mean, I don't see it as a hurdle that has to be jumped over 30 times.
Well, I see it as being a crowd, and at my age, not a good idea.
Well, I disagree with you. Outside, I'm not that worried about it, Keith. I'm not. I mean, fresh air is still a great component for health, and I'm not going to buy into the fact that if we go to a social gathering outside, oh my goodness, I touched an elbow of a person, I'm going to get coronavirus. Let's be real here, okay? Please?
Well, let me make a statement here, and forgive me, because, some time ago they had that community auction in Rupert.
Yeah, real fast, Keith. Come on, please, hurry.
I called you about it, and you said, I don't think it's a problem because you're outdoors and everything. You were absolutely right. We didn't have any repercussions.
Well, I just think that we're reading more danger into a problem that isn't there. I dare anybody to tell me, I don't care if you're a doctor out there, whatever, that if you're out in the fresh air, it's going to be really hard for transmission of any kind of a sickness when you're 6 feet away from somebody out in the fresh air. I'm not buying into that. If you want to go up and hug people, have a mask on. You want to stay away from people, don't shake their hand. Just say, hey, George, how you doing? Fist bump. Here we go. I'm not in favor of just losing our humanity and our civility. We've still got to get together.
I still have to shake that hand because that tells you a lot.
Well, we're not going to shake hands at Lunch Bunch. I agree with you, but we're not going to do it. We're just not going to do it. I'm going to have some rules at my event that we're going to make sure everybody's safe, but when they walk out the door, they can take that mask and do with it as they wish.
And I'm going to abide by whatever you say.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I'll just be meaner than heck to anybody that don't.
All right, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you. Magic Valley Carpet. Don't forget 613 D Street in Rupert. They're just off the square in Rupert, and they welcome you next week to the Minidoka County Fair and Rodeo. These are nice people. They've got all your flooring, your carpet, your hardwood, your vinyl, your laminate, your tile, everything. Installation is guaranteed for over 36 years of experience. They know what they're doing. Magic Valley Carpet. Absolutely inviting you to the Minidoka County Fair and Rodeo. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I've listened to Adrian a little bit there. I just want to tell him in the Bible there's a few words I want to just say. And I don't know where it's at, but it says, "Fear not, I am with thee." If he's afraid, he should keep us doing the things he should be doing, and fear not.
That's right. That's right.
But I'm afraid that as a nation, we have really screwed up. We're not doing what Heavenly Father wants us to do.
Isn't that the truth? That is the bottom line right there. You've touched on it. We have started to turn our backs and our lives away from really what the real answer is. We've lost our values, we've lost our respect, and we've lost our faith in God, and I don't care who's offended by that.
Well, that's kind of the way I feel. I just want to say I wish I knew exactly where it is, but I know them words good. Fear not, I am with thee.
Yeah, well, let me add something to you, and you can look it up and find out for sure that I'm right. Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. That kind of gives you a real calm feeling right there, too.
I know.
All right, sir.
Okay, my friend. Thank you very much.
God bless you, sir, for your call. I appreciate it. I sound a little bit testy on this morning. I am. I'm getting sick and tired of everybody saying, no, you can't, no, you shouldn't, no, you better not, you this, that, and the other thing. Listen, when we are seeing our whole country fall down around our ears, yesterday in Chicago, 14 people shot while at a funeral in Chicago. 14 people shot at a funeral, bodies laying all over the ground. What in the world is happening in this country? 55 days straight of violence and destruction in Portland, Oregon, a beautiful town. 55 days straight, and not one dimwit, and they're all dim-witted, in politics in Portland is doing anything, standing up and saying anything, or trying to coerce something to be done to stop this idiocy and this destruction, this degradation of the city of Portland. Chaos in New York. And to the Democrats in the audience out there this morning, have a spine. Have a spine and step up and condemn this political violence. That's what it is. Political violence to hurt one person, this administration and Donald Trump. If you say it's not, you're lying. And I've said this before, and I do not care who's offended by it. I despised Barack Obama. I didn't like that man at all. But you never heard me on the radio say or do anything that was even going to be a millionth of what's going on against this presidency and the lack of respect that's being shown this administration in the Oval Office. The Dems want all officers that are out on the streets to basically be victims and not be able to protect themselves or America. And this is the first time in my 72 years that I've seen the perpetrators of crime, heinous crime, actually protected by the law and by prosecuting attorneys. This is sick. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We all need to just slam our Tony Lamas down on the ground and say enough is enough of this garbage. And that's what it is. Garbage. Joe Bennett, my old buddy, and the Bennett Boys Auction Service are going to have a great big sale coming up this Saturday, July 25th, the Callan Estate Auction. It's going to be over in Buell at 1281 East, 4051 North. And watch for the auction signs from Les Schwab Tire in Buell. Travel west on 4100 North for 1 mile. Turn south on 1300 East for a half mile, and then turn west on the dirt road, Parton's Lane. Well, better yet, watch for the signs. They're going to have vehicles and shop items and all kinds of equipment, lawn and garden items and antiques and collectibles. Well, they got some really neat furniture and household goods. You better check it out this Saturday, Callan Estate Auction, over in Buell. Look for the signs, and managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Absolutely. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am totally done with professional sports. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Barry Equipment and Rental. Let's not forget the very best of sales, service, parts, and of course they've got three locations to serve you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location. And when you got jobs that entail lifting and digging and pushing and carrying, grading and leveling, I'll tell you, you want the equipment to be able to do the job. They've got it all. All the Bobcats, all the trenchers, all the scissor lifts, all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, great financing programs to buy, super lease programs at Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. Don't forget that. You stop in and see them today. Professional sports. Major League Baseball, which opens up for a very curtailed season tomorrow. The NFL and the NBA will not get any support or viewership from me. I'm done, out of there. I do not care if it's the Green Bay Packers, a team that I was raised with back in Wisconsin. I don't care if it's my beloved Chicago Cubs. I don't care what it is, what sport. Professional athletes and professional sports are exhibiting no class, no respect to the country that made them multi-millionaires. And they are. I don't care who you pick, who you look at, what team you really want to follow. Just go down the list, the rosters of the incomes and the millionaires, multi-millionaires. And yesterday, in an exhibition game at Cincinnati with the Reds, the national anthem was played, and most of the Cincinnati Reds took a knee during the national anthem. I will not subject myself to being respectful of professional, multi-paid, overpaid prima donnas that do not have the wherewithal in their mental capacity to realize that this country, America, provided them the greatest income and the greatest lifestyle of any country in the world, but they're too damn dumb to understand that. And if somebody's offended by that statement, again, your problem, not mine. If the NFL has separate black national anthem prior to our national anthem at the beginning of the games, they're out. They're done. I don't want anything to do with them. The NBA is beyond hope. They're going to put Black Lives Matter logos on their courts and possibly even on their jerseys. They all deserve our condemnation. I hope you'll join with me and tell them to take a slow boat to China. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Let's see, what else have we got here? Congratulations to a New Jersey gym and fitness owner that for the last 3 months has been absolutely chased by the governor of New Jersey And law enforcement officers, and by the way, in all honesty, the law enforcement officers didn't really want to harangue this guy, but he's going to keep his gym open. He's using any and all of the safety precautions. God bless him. And he's a small business owner, and he said, you are not going to close me up again. I'm doing everything in a free society, and I will maintain my doors being open. God bless him. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning again, Zeb. But these overpaid prima donnas should be out in the streets, as big and tough as they are, getting control over these people, talking to the ones that have a little bit of sense left in their heads, calm the situation down. Because the way things are going right now, there's going to be a big backlash against anybody, a black football player or anybody else, and I see it coming when the time comes for the ball games to go into effect for the season. There is going to be a backlash.
You know, I totally agree with what you said, and I was sitting here thinking while you were talking about any athlete that has really jumped up on a pedestal and said, stop this silly violence, let's all work together. Drew Brees tried initially, and they pushed him in the back of the theater and told him he better shut up and change his ways. But, you know, really, these athletes like LeBron James, I have no respect for LeBron James. He's a phenomenal basketball player, but he's got the mental acuity of a caterpillar, and I just have no respect for these athletes.
Well, I really feel you're going to see a lot of empty bleachers at the ball games this year.
I hope so. Well, you will because of the coronavirus, Tony. I mean, you will see empty seats, so that's not going to be an indicative factor. But what's really going to be an indicative factor is when the Nielsen ratings come out and they find out that nobody's watching their doggone games on television.
Well, I haven't watched a football game in over 2 years. And basketball, that's cut out. So as far as all these athletic sports are going, I'm done with them.
Yeah. I mean, Tony, if you all of a sudden had the athletic prowess to be, let's say you could hit 55 home runs and you were an outstanding center fielder, and from way back against the fence you could drill that ball right down to the catcher's mitt and have a guy tagged out at home. I mean, and you were making like 17 or 18 or maybe $22 million a year. Would you really want to denigrate the country that provided that source of income?
Oh, no. I mean, these guys have the power to calm situations that people like you and I couldn't do.
That's right. That's right.
This is where the problem is, but they're not doing it. The only thing they're worried about is what big restaurant they're going to go to after the game. What kind of Rolls Royce are they going to buy? This is where it's at.
Yeah. I've lost all my respect, and I'll say it again, to the Major League Baseball, NFL, and NBA, because they've taken a far left turn. They're more concerned about their money, whether it comes from foreign sources, i.e. China, whatever, and kneeling and absolutely no respect for our country and the flag. I absolutely denigrate them and condemn them. Thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate your call.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right,
Bye.
sir. Absolutely. You know, I'm going to just say this. And those of you in the audience that would go, oh, yeah, come on, Zeb. Well, it's true. I've been in the rodeo business for over 50 years. I know what I'm talking about. And when the prayer and the national anthem is played, you're not going to see cowboys kneeling. You're not going to see a lack of respect for our prayer to our good Lord and our country. And I look at these rodeo cowboys, and I watch the Cowboy Channel, especially the last couple of weeks for the rodeos that are going ahead, whether it's Belle Fourche or whether it was Oakley, Utah, or whether it was Cave Creek, Arizona, or Weatherford, Texas, whatever. And every time the national anthem is played, those cowboys standing there with their hats over their hearts, that's the epitome of a great professional athlete, not the likes of the lowly LeBron Jameses. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
you know, my heart goes out to the people who worked at these games and everything, you know, because they're losing their income. And I don't know quite how to look at it. While you were talking there about sports, I was thinking of that brand new stadium they built in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
The Oakland Raiders,
Mm-hmm.
the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
You know, that city has got a lot of problems already with the loss of the casino revenue, and now this.
You're going to be seeing... I absolutely agree with you, and I really appreciate your point. Now that the Raiders have moved to Vegas, and the money and the tickets and the all the junkets and the tourism and everything else that's going to help support and keep a team alive in a city like Las Vegas, when the doors and everything are closed due to this pandemic, oh, how would you like to be the major shareholder in the new Las Vegas Raiders?
No, thank you.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Appreciate it.
It's a tragedy that, you know, we're fighting two things here. The left wants to get rid of Trump, and then we got this virus.
Yep.
So we're fighting on two fronts.
Yeah, I know it.
And it's very difficult to balance yourself out.
There you go, Keith. Appreciate it very much. Got to get a weather on. Thank you very much. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids is growing, and they're getting bigger and better all the time. And as a matter of fact, they're announcing right now they're moving to a larger space right there on the Minidoka Memorial Hospital campus. That's right. And it's going to double their patient capacity and add new services. Oh, my goodness. They're going to be doing this on August 4th. So give them a call, and they can help you with your hearing health. Absolutely. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Showers and a red flag warning is what we're in for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting about a 50% chance of rain showers plus thunderstorms by the afternoon, so that's going to put us in that red flag warning. High of 86 is what we're looking at, and it's going to be a little bit breezy out there as well. Tonight, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 64. Tomorrow, slight chance of showers in the late afternoon hours, plus some thunderstorms as well, mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of about 57. Then for Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather for Zevin.
Oh, thank you very much, and brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And let me tell you something. When you've noticed the diminishment in your hearing, please do not put it off. Call them today. They can and they will help you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yesterday, during the press conference at the White House, and the press briefing secretary, if you will, Kayleen McEnany, was standing up there at the podium answering questions. Well, they really haven't proved it to the nth degree, but a female reporter wearing a mask had asked a question, and I'm just giving you this as I saw it and as I heard it, okay? She asked a question of Kaylee McEnany, and evidently this reporter didn't like the answer or didn't think it answered it, the question the way that the reporter thought it should be answered. And as Kaylee McEnany went to another reporter in the room, it was said that under her breath, and it was picked up on the microphone, that the reporter said, "You lying," and you can fill in the blank. It starts with a B. And I was watching some of the newscasts yesterday that were trying to discern whether that really happened or not, and the odds is that it did. And so the civility of what's going on against this administration by the far-left reporters, whether it's that stupid lightning rod, Jim Acosta from CNN, or others, if it gets to that point where at the news conferences themselves, where they have a pretty much concentrated amount of time to get things in, and then it's over, and you're going to start calling the head of the press conference, Kayleigh McEnany, a certain name, a lying, well, this has gone beyond the pale. It's just absolutely uncivilized, unprofessional by the reporters, and I hope it stops. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, we're going to be at Denny's restaurant tomorrow for lunch bunch at 11:30. I'm setting the rules for it. Everybody will come in. We'll wear a mask while we're in the room together, social distancing, no handshaking, no standing over other people at the table talking. Sit down. We're going to do this. We're going to get it right, and we're going to start getting back to, quote-unquote, a sense of normalcy. So that's tomorrow at Denny's restaurant. Our thanks go out to Smith's Foods, Walmart, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Denny's for the gift certificates. Lunch bunch tomorrow at 11:30 at America's Diner, Denny's restaurant. I hope you are there. I hope you are there. Well, old Joe Biden, the poster boy for the vacant stare. Have you seen him? When he's sitting there trying to listen to something or going to respond, I mean, the eyes are looking, but I don't know what they're seeing. It's kind of like having a candle flicker and go out. And he's not answering any questions from reporters. I don't know how a politician can get away with this. Somebody call me and explain that to me. How can you make predictions and proposals as to what you're going to do as the potential president of the United States and not answer any questions? This man absolutely is a shell of a man. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
How old is Joe?
He's going to be, if he wins the election at inauguration time, I believe he will be 78 years old.
Well, I'm right in his category, and I certainly wouldn't want to go for such a burdenous job.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think he's ever been on key anyway. He just thinks he has I don't know, he had a little experience because he was there with Barry. But I do believe, have we heard Barry praising him anywhere on this campaign?
Well, there's been there has been occasions where Obama has come out, and I like the way you said Barry, because quite frankly, there's other names I'd like to use for him, but I can't. But I've heard a couple of things about old Joe's the boy. He's the man that's going to get the job done, but there really hasn't been a full court press by a lot of the Democrats that are high-figure Democrats that come out and really build up old Joe. And when you listen to Biden speak, and like he had that little press conference that he didn't answer hardly any questions about 2 weeks ago in a gymnasium in Delaware, I mean, the man slurs his words. He can't construct sentences. He comes up with the wrong words in the wrong instances. And honestly, Chris, have you noticed that this man is just not all there?
Well, I've thought that for quite a long time. And if he was planning to run for the presidency of the United States, you would think he would be going to talk to previous presidents and get some advice. But he's not going to get elected.
Well, I certainly pray that you're right. I do not want to wake up on November 4th, if I get any sleep that night at all, and see that we have put into effect a Biden and Warren and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez type government. I'll guarantee you the next morning on the radio, we will start taking applications for a tour bus to outer Mongolia to buy some land. That's how I feel. I don't want them in office.
Yeah.
God.
Those two little smarty pants, young women, they think they're smarter than anybody. Where did they get their smarts?
Well, they don't have
I
this.
don't even know much about their background.
No, their common sense is not considered smarts. They have no common sense. Elizabeth Warren, with her absolute destitute of any reality, far left-wing economic plans, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Presley, Ilhan Omar, if Joe Biden's administration would be led by them, we're on the road to hell. I've got to run. I'm late. Chris, God bless you. Thank you for your call.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. I want to remind you, too, about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires for all your summertime travel. And that's not brag, that's a fact. They've got all the different tread designs, all the sizes for all the vehicles. All you need to do is stop in and see them today for peace of mind travel. Absolutely. The best are serving you also with brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. And above all, the best in service. James in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane in Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm late. Got to run to the news. Be back in 7. Oh, good morning and welcome back to hour number 2 on this Wednesday, July 2. And Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and, you know this, the best in tires. Don't forget to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, before we go any further, let's have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and it's true, they really are always at your disposal. And if you've got an event coming up like maybe a family reunion or maybe a company picnic or whatever, and you're going to have maybe 50, 60, 70, 100 people, oh my goodness, you got all the food and everything lined up, but you forgot about the porta potties. Check it out today. Don't forget they've got the best serving you, all the porta potties for both the handicapped and also the regular. Be sure and check it out today at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal, 734-6969. Want to urge you, too, to remember our dear friends, and every day that they're on the program, I mean, they've been here almost since the very beginning, our friends over at Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, family, and staff. I mean, Joel is one of those kind of people that just absolutely is so community-oriented and so helpful to the community. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, like I said, the family and the staff serving you and your family. And when there's the passing of a loved one, everything is absolutely in such a tumultuous time. Let them help. Let them help and serve you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Really, really nice people. Talking about nice people, don't forget the Minidoka County Fair and Rodeo is coming up this next week, and I'm telling you, they're going to have a lot of fun. Tuesday night, they're going to have that Tiny Tot Gymkhana, and then don't forget Monday night. I want to start with Monday night at 6 o'clock. They've got the lawnmower races. Rum, rum, start your engines, cut that grass. And, of course, Dutch oven cobblers, PMT concerts, and then, of course, on the weekend, the big open rodeo at 7:30 p.m. All of this and more. All-American Flair at the Minidoka County Fair. You be there July 27th through August 1st. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And a dear, dear friend, good morning, Dave Vigo. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. I'm fine. Hope you are too.
I am doing well. Thank you. Except you and I have got to get right down to the brass tacks. And, Sean, there's just a touch of feedback there, if you would, please. Dave, I watched that video that you sent me, and it was a very chilling video, and I think basically what I took out of that video, and I think anybody that watches it, we're in a lot of trouble in this country, and a naivete or a turning the other cheek or a trying to say, oh, well, it'll go away attitude, it's not. It's going to get worse every day.
Yeah, Zeb, and people need to go online and watch it. They can get on their internet and go in and type in search for the deadliest virus in the world, and it'll take them to that link, and they can watch it online too. And Zeb, this guy talks about it all about socialism leading to communism, which I've talked about on your show, because the SEIU, they use socialistic tactics to try and force unionize our people by saying, well, we're going to give you this, you're going to get this, you're going to get this, it's going to be great, and all this kind of stuff. But the end run is they take you to socialism, but they don't give you that stuff, and then they take you to communism because it's all about power and control. They want the power to run everything and take everything away from you and control you. And, I've talked about this for years, and I've talked about it in my blogs, and I even mentioned it in my book. These people want to take over this country and turn it into a communist country through the socialistic tactics.
Dave, the other day on the news, I was watching it, and all of a sudden here comes the story about the SEIU union and trying to harangue and harass people to join their union, trying to get all the fast food workers to go on strike, just more tumultuous times that they're building and building against this administration and against our country. And I'll be honest with you, I wanted to throw one of my boots right through the TV screen. I absolutely deplore these people with the SEIU.
Yeah, it's sad, Zeb, and I really encourage people to go on and read the blogs I wrote for several years after my second book, The Devil at Our Doorstep, came out, and I think it was my second or third blog, and it's called Communism at the Highest Levels, and it's actually based on articles out of the Los Angeles Times that a lady from out there sent me that show that the SEIU are communists. They march in the streets of California every year with the Communist Party, and they're the ones that are leading this riotous, tumultuous things going on in this country, along with, I believe, George Soros and others, and, they're behind Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and, the Antifa thing is just like the anti-fascist action in Germany, back, in 1918, 20, 30, something like that, to bring down Germany and turn all those people into communists. And the same things are happening in this country today, and it turns out that the worst communist country today is the Chinese, and they want to bring down this country, and part of it is with this current pandemic.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, we come from basically two different regions and two different attitudes, if you will, in the country. Indianapolis, Indiana, a very big, large American city, professional sports, etc. And I'm out here in agricultural area, southern Idaho. What is the movement or the activity right now back in your area with Antifa and Black Lives Matter?
We really haven't had too much here in Indianapolis. Indiana is a conservative state. We do have a Democratic mayor, but most of the stuff has been fairly just peaceful stuff. I mean, they've had a little bit that's been a little bit more violent, but very little in comparison to your major cities like New York and Chicago and Seattle and Portland and Los Angeles and other places that are truly heavy Democratic, not just in the city but in the states too. And I have to give our governor here, Holcomb, in Indiana, praise, because he has stood up and he's doing the right things, and even our Democratic mayor, he is not a far left Democratic mayor. I know him, and I've met him many times, and he's a good guy.
Dave, explain to me, and I feel like we're close enough friends, you're certainly not going to hurt my feelings, but explain to me how in the world the idiocy and incompetency of a Democratic mayor like Ted Wheeler in Portland could let ravaging and carnage take place in his city for 55 straight days without quelching this. What's going on here?
Well, Zeb, it's kind of interesting. You know, I used to be on more radio programs, and one that I was on all the time in Portland was the Jane Carroll Show. And a couple of years ago, she called me and she says, "Dave, we can't have you on anymore. Our radio station's been sold to another group, and they're being controlled by the SEIU, because the SEIU is huge in Portland and up in Seattle too." And they said, "Don't ever have him back on the radio program anymore." And this is what's going on with the politics up there too. The mayors and the governors of that, they're being attacked by the SEIU and other far leftists, and they don't have the backbone to stand up to them.
Yeah, but
that's why this stuff is going on.
But what about the people, though? Okay, come on, Dave. If you and I had a business or a residence anywhere close to this foolishness and this absolute carnage, wouldn't you? I know I would be. I'd be going right to City Hall, to the mayor, and banging one of my crutches right on his oak desk, telling him he better get out of Dodge City if he's not going to get something done. Why aren't the people complaining and doing something?
Because a lot of them are afraid to do anything because they're afraid of the consequences that, the left could come after them. And
is that where we're at in this country, Dave? Is that where we're at in this country now? A nation of fear so that we let lawlessness and these creeps run our lives?
Well, we are in certain cities and states. It's so much. It's not that much in a lot of a big portion of the states and cities in this country. But again, Zeb, it comes back to the cities and states that are far left-leaning Democrats are controlled by the unions and Soros and the left-wing group.
I guess maybe I'm looking at this thing with the cowboy mentality of, let's clean it up, and let's clean it up now. I do not understand at all, Dave, how 14 people can be shot at a funeral in Chicago. I do not understand how 55 nights of violence and destruction in Portland. I do not understand how they can set up cities and take over parks and tell the community, stay out or we'll beat you. I mean, I just don't understand this in America.
Well, Zeb, it's real simple. The Democrats in these cities are controlled by the unions and Soros and those people, because that's where they get the majority of their money for politics. And when they're running for office, they need that money to try and keep their positions or gain new positions. And of course, if they get elected or reelected, behind the scenes, they're going to be told what to do, and that's what's happening. They're being told what to do and what to leave alone. And even though, the left is, anti-gun, and they want gun control, you look at cities like Chicago, who does have a gun control, you have all these shootings and deaths, which is very sad. But it's because the politicians, the mayors, and all that have been told, don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
We want the riots.
I've got to ask you about the McCloskeys. We touched briefly on this about 2 weeks ago. I want to hit on it again. I would not react any differently than what Mr. and Mrs. McCloskey did at the front of their St. Louis home when the absolutely evil Black Lives Matter marched through and destroyed a private steel gate into a private area community and threatened the homeowners. I would have gone and got a gun. I would have had my wife arm herself with a gun. I would have stayed on the porch and told these vermin they'd better get out of Dodge City. But yet the black prosecuting attorney in St. Louis is after them to prefer felony charges against the McCloskeys, and now today, like the Bible says, good will become evil and evil will become good. This is sick.
Yeah, well, and the mayor she wanted him prosecuted too, and the thing is I get back to this, and people can understand this. St. Louis is another very radical city controlled by the unions, especially the SEIU. And all this stuff is going on purpose. And but I did see today an article today that the governor of Missouri is going to have, if these people are prosecuted and sentenced, he's going to have all that thrown out.
Absolutely. But, here's the thing. We've got a caller. Caller, stand by. I'll be right there. If they are arrested on those felony charges by this black prosecutor, of course, they lose all their Second Amendment rights for the rest of their life.
Yeah, but, again, the governor said he's going to commute all
I know.
Stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Well, the proof is going to be in the pudding. I'll guarantee you that. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, insurrection is an attack on an established government. Why can't the president come in and crush this whole bunch and get it over with?
It's a good, honest question. Dave, we've got to stop this. I mean, it's like having a mouse or rat infestation. You got to get rid of the rats. When are we going to start?
Well, all this is based on this election because they want to bring the president down and take over the Senate and keep the House so that they can turn this into a communistic state. And, of course, everything that he does, they're going to use against him in the political end of it. And, he's trying, and he is. I mean, he is using our National Guard and other forces across the country to try and stop this stuff and trying to get the local governors and that because, even though we're a national company, the state, each state is on their own, and so they can do what they want to do, and it's a federal type of thing, and he doesn't want to just go in and completely take over the states, which I understand. But at some point, he may have to.
Absolutely. Okay, I've got time for one more segment on here, and I want to go into this. I said earlier this morning, and I'm going to stand behind this, I'm done with Major League Baseball. I'm done with the NFL. I'm done with the NBA. These are no class, no respect, absolute multimillionaires that are acting like prima donnas, and I'm done with them. They will not show any respect to the country that has afforded them to become multimillionaires, and I absolutely think everybody should shun any professional sports team going into this fall.
Yeah, it's sad what's going on, but again, Zeb, and I come back to this, and I know people probably get tired of hearing me say it, but, all these people are in unions, and these players are in unions, and the unions behind the scene are infiltrating them and their heads and what they have to say and stuff like that, and having them go out and do this stuff because, again, it's part of this whole program to turn us, use socialism to turn us into a communistic country and bring us down.
Have you ever, though, Dave, and you and I are basically the same age, have you ever in your life thought that a country that affords so many people so many opportunities, whether it's in science or education or whether it's in athletics or politics or whatever, there are so many varying and prospering positions that you can study for and achieve that these athletes that use their athletic talents are gifted with multi-million-dollar contracts, and then they spit on the face of America. I've never seen or heard of such a thing.
It's because the left house knows how to get in these people's heads and brainwash them, and of course they tell them, they said, if you don't go out and do what we want you to do, we're not going to go out and really negotiate for you, get the bigger salaries and stuff, all that kind of stuff, and this is all part of their tactics and their agenda, Zeb.
What are you hearing at your restaurants, perhaps at the golf course, at your business, etc. What are you hearing as maybe a more realistic approach and or poll as to what's happening with Biden versus Trump?
I'm not really hearing a whole lot, to be honest with you. It's been pretty quiet. I think a lot of it is because Biden has been pretty quiet in his basement, although he's getting out now. But I think, in the next month we'll start hearing more and more that people start stepping up.
The thing I was curious about, Dave, I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was a very direct confrontation, face-to-face, out in the Rose Garden at the White House this last weekend with Fox News' Chris Wallace and President Trump. And it was a literally no-holds-barred news conference, question and answer period, and I really respected the way it was done. And after it was all over, I thought, here we are, 3 months away from the election that could change the entire face and structure of the United States forever, and the lowly Democrats with their figurehead, a puppet, Joe Biden, hasn't answered any questions whatsoever.
Well, that's right, and the Republicans and we really need our senators and the people running for the House to stand up and have a backbone and get out and meet people and talk to them and go through all this stuff, because that's one of the things that the left really does. They get out and they talk to people and get them in groups and they brainwash them. I've been through all this, Zeb. I see what they do when they're trying to force unionize your people. And they go out and sit them down, lie to them, and say, hey, we're going to give you this, and this is what you'll get, and it'll be so much better for you. And, it's just like on the video that you watch, you look at it, and the bottom line is the communists, they want to bring down businesses and eliminate businesses and people's private lives in this country. And where socialism is, you look at places like Venezuela and Cuba and stuff like that, where people are basically living in huts and cardboard boxes and stuff like that. And they were all promised all this stuff, and at the end of the day, what it was all about was the power and the money and everything for the communists.
Absolutely. Dave, what do you think? Can we pull this thing back to normalcy? I'm going to put you on the spot here as we wrap up the show. Are we beyond hope, or is this great country, the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, have we gone beyond hope with the evil left trying to take it over?
No, I think we can win. And I think that, even though there's a lot of people that get brainwashed and this stuff and that, I think there's also a lot of people who are waking up to this stuff is not true. And I think that'll continue to happen as we move closer to the election.
God bless you. I'll take one quick call, and caller, it's got to be short, real fast. I've got 1 minute. Go fast.
Okay, for your caller there, I would just like to know if he thinks that they're going to let Joe Biden debate Trump, and if they do, what do you think the outcome will be?
That's interesting. Go ahead, Dave.
I think they might do a little bit, but if it does, it'll show how bad Trump is. But at the end of the day, they just want Joe to go up and be nice in that, although, he's starting to talk about all the socialistic, communistic, far-left agendas and stuff like that. He's starting to agree to all that stuff, and I think that's going to hurt him. But behind the scenes, they just want him to kind of look like a nice guy and stuff like that, because if he gets elected, he won't be the president. It's going to be some radical people behind him that are going to run this country.
With some very heavy-duty puppet strings, I think you'll agree, right?
Yep.
All right. Dave Vigo, Indianapolis, Indiana, my friend, and I just absolutely wish you could come out to Idaho. I'll buy the wine, you buy the meal, we'll celebrate. Thank you very much.
I'd like to do that sometime.
Okay, buddy. Thank you very much. Dave Vigo. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with my dear, dear friends, Nick Greenwell, and all the folks over at Burley Physical Therapy. My goodness. And another business that they're in charge of, and that's Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Get fit, stay fit, and if you have an operation or an accident, you can bet your life they're going to help you get back into shape at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best of physical therapy, the best of all the therapists. They know all the exercises. They've got the hydrotherapy pool. What are you waiting for? Give them a call, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Like I said earlier this morning, tomorrow we are going to be at Denny's Restaurant at 11:30 for our lunch bunch for July. We are not going to be cowed or threatened into not having our lunch bunch. We're going to be there at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. We're going to follow the rules of wearing the mask while we're in the building. We're going to have social distancing with the tables, no handshakes, and we're not going to be standing over tables talking to people. We're going to play by those rules. But the minute it's over and you're outside, you bet that mask is coming off. So we're going to be over there enjoying great food, great people, and we urge you to be there. We've got to get back to a sense of normalcy. I will expect nothing less. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. We'll see you there tomorrow for Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Want to remind you, too, and I've got my guest waiting, that when you want to get out of Dodge City and just head for the hills, I know how you can get up there and enjoy the great scenic Idaho trails with a side-by-side or a four-wheeler from Let's Ride. Absolutely. They're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and they've got a showroom jam-packed with fun. Absolutely. All the side-by-sides, all the four-wheelers, and I don't know how they got them all in there. They've got a super, absolutely phenomenal accessory department and a service department that will keep you running. Stop in. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 2. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. And as I always say, when you're over in that neck of the woods, you want to be sure and give a call to Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. Now, they're right there on the square. They're right there on the curve going into Rupert. Boy, Todd's going to get mad about that. And you can't miss them. The sign, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. I've worked with these folks for a long time, and they are dedicated and very devoted to serving you. So please get a hold of them today, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, right on Highway 24 in Rupert. This next gentleman's been on my program in the past, and I absolutely respect him and his ability to get his point across. He is the author of the book called The Iron Triangle, Inside the Liberal Democratic Plan to Use Race to Divide Christians in America in Their Quest for Power and How We Can Defeat Them. Good morning, Vince Everett Ellison. How are you?
Zeb, it's good to be with you again, my friend. How are you?
I'm mad. I'm doggone mad. And I want you to give me some time to interact with you in our speech this morning because I'm frosted. I've had enough, and I'm sick and tired of what's happening in my beloved country, America. I know you are too. We're seeing the staining permanently of major cities like Portland and Seattle and Chicago, where 14 people attending a funeral were shot. Vince, what in the world is going on in this great land of opportunity?
Well, you know what, Zeb? I was thinking about it last night, and I started seeing the parallels of what happened in Nazi Germany during Kristallnacht and what's going on here in America right now. If you know about Kristallnacht, you know there's the night of the broken glass when Adolf Hitler told all of his police officers to stand down and allowed the brown shirts to go through and just terrorize the Jewish community and break their glass and loot and riot and murder and just days of it. And the local officials did nothing. This is exactly what they're doing to the black community now. I said in my book, and I said on your show, that the Democratic Party is conducting a cultural genocide in the black community. They've destroyed all the institutions. They've destroyed the family, the economic base, religion, education, and now governmental. And they want that community completely under their control. They've been doing it for the last 220 years because all of their power has always come from their subjugation of the African American community. And us as conservatives not being able to go in and intervene and doing an intervention has allowed us to have to fight harder than we need to fight to secure our country.
You know, Vince, I'm not going to pull any punches on this program, and if somebody's offended, I couldn't care less. I looked at the photos of some of these young black children, and one in particular that just made me cry. And I'm 72 years old, and if I want to say I cried, so be it. But I looked at that photo of that little 1.5-year-old boy that was leaning on a little scooter, and he was attending a barbecue with his parents and was shot and killed. This is insanity, and I'm saying load the bulldozers and go in and just doze these absolute vermin out into Lake Michigan. I've had enough of this.
Well, you know what, Zeb? You're not old enough to know our history and to know that back in the 60s when the black community wasn't able to or refused to defend themselves, that John F. Kennedy was sent, and Eisenhower sent federal troops down. You remember with the Little Rock Nine?
Yes.
General Eisenhower, President Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne down to make sure that Central High School became integrated. Also, if you know your history, you know that in 1870, President Grant, Republican, sent down troops to defend the black community against the Ku Klux Klan that was killing, raping, murdering another group of Democrats, right? Eisenhower sent them down to help them with another group of Democrats that were beating them down. And now we go up to the 21st century, and here we are. We got Democrats again beating the hell out and killing black people. It seems like they cannot exist without black death and black blood on their hands. So they're seeing these black children die. You got Black Lives Matter out here talking about they care about black lives. No, they don't. They are brown shirts. They are causing it. They are telling these communities, and they're making these communities pull out the police. So, and they're taking their guns. They're kicking out the police. And now these gangs and these marauders and these murderers are going around doing everything that they want to do, and all of them are being paid by white liberals from New York and from California.
Absolutely.
The saddest thing I've ever seen, the black preachers that are supposed to be preaching about Jesus Christ, love, forgiveness, they preach nothing but hate, envy, jealousy, violence. They march beside Marxists who are anti-Christian. So if these Marxists get their way, they are going to destroy the church. And you have black ministers, you haven't heard one of them say the name Jesus since this thing started happening. You never heard them preach the gospel? They're out there talking about no justice, no peace, defund the police, and they are, and they're part of the Iron Triangle. You know who they are. The most black preachers, most black politicians, most black civic organizers. I was on the Laura Ingraham show last Thursday telling the same thing. My book has been #1. It's been in the top 10 on Amazon for the last 2 months because people are waking up to this, and people like you there and your audience are out there on the forefront ringing the alarm. These people are nothing but marauders, murderers, looters, and they have to keep the black community under control because they know if they lose the black community, they have lost their ability to control the Democrat power, and they're gone.
Vince, let me ask you this. Now, I'm a white male, 72 years of age, born and raised in the Midwest, about 120 miles north of Chicago, up in Wisconsin. I do not know everything I should know about the inner city, but I do know quite a bit. I understand quite a bit. But are there not enough black leaders in these neighborhoods, and for that matter the states and in politics, that they can start grouping and forming power groups and pull this mess out and save people's lives and save some kind of civilization, or has it gone too far?
Well, Zeb, you can remember back in the 60s, late 60s, they started calling the inner city black community the ghetto. Now, we say that name, and it's kind of innocuous to us now, but you and I know what the ghetto was.
That's right.
It was a place where they took the Jews in Germany and they closed them off from society, and they prepared them for extermination. Black people in the 60s and 70s knew what was happening to them, and they were warning the world. Please don't let this happen to us. Help us. These people are preparing us for control and extermination, a cultural genocide. That is why they called where they live the ghetto. It just wasn't a play on words. That's what it was. Now these people have kind of died off, or they're very, very old. And the people that were born in this area, they know nothing else but that. They have been it's been completely normalized to them. And right now, without an intervention not from government, but from Christian people and the citizens of this nation, it can't turn around. That's why my book talks about what we need to do to defeat the Democrats. It's not going to be a government program. It's not going to be the GOP going in there doing their thing because they're too afraid. They're too timid. It's got to be us doing what Jesus Christ told us to do, and that was evangelize. He gave the parable about the lost sheep. He said the good shepherd will go and lead all his other sheep to go find the one that's gone astray, the lost one. And I'm the good shepherd. And he tells us to do likewise. We have a bunch of sheep that are lost. We're doing fine. People like you and I, we're sitting back in our nice homes, our nice families, and everything is doing good. We got a little money. But then we look on TV and we see this chaos. And it's telling us that we have been lax in our Christian duty. That right here in our country, I ain't talking about China. Okay, we can take care of that in the Middle East and the South America. Okay, that's fine and well. But right here on our doorstep, we are allowing our Christian mission to fail. And Martin Luther King Jr. said something that, and during the civil rights movement, I don't agree with everything he did, but something he said was very, very true. He said that this generation in the future is not just going to have to repent from the children of darkness, but they're going to repent for the inactivity of the children of light because they sat back and watched it happen. To all black Americans that do not agree with Black Lives Matter, we have to start speaking out, just like the white people spoke out in the South when they got tired of the Ku Klux Klan blowing up churches and hanging black people from trees. The good white folks finally said, you do not speak for us. And even though the Klan called them N-word lovers and cursed them out, they said, you can call me what you want, but you don't speak for us any longer. And then the Klan started to disintegrate. As long as black Christians are quiet, and as long as we let the world believe that a Marxist, anti-Christian, pro-LGBTQ group like Black Lives Matter speak for all of black Americans, our cities are going to burn.
Absolutely.
Until we speak up and tell the world and America these people no longer speak for us, they do not have our values. They are anathema to everything that we stand for. Until we do it, until people like what I'm doing right now, I'm telling you, they don't speak for me. They don't speak for my family. They don't speak for anyone I know. But until we start standing up, because what happens when you do that, see, they're going to try to come out against you like they have tried to do with me, but I don't care because I go right back at them. You've got to stand up and be brave and tell the world what's going on.
Absolutely.
This is an anti-Christian Marxist organization that all they do is meditate on blood. They're like the brown shirts with Adolf Hitler. And it's time for them to go.
Absolutely. You know, Vince, it sounds so simplistic, but really, we've lost our value system in America. We've lost the family values. We've lost the going to church, having a nice dinner with the family after church on a Sunday morning. We've lost the respect for each other. We've lost our faith in God. And I'm going to end that sentence right there by saying, until we get back to the principles of the Bible, this country's going to go to hell.
I agree. I agree with you 100%, Zeb. We know what right is. We need to do it. But part of what we're supposed to do is our Christian mission to go and evangelize. And because we haven't been doing it, there's a vacuum in every man's soul that yearns for God. And it's going to be filled by him or it's going to be filled by foolishness. I mean, my heart dropped 2 weeks ago when I heard that Elvis's grandson had committed suicide. I mean, this young man was handsome. He was rich. Everybody loved him. But he didn't have Jesus Christ. And he killed himself. And that's happening all over this country. Suicide is the number one way of death for young people in America now. It's also becoming an epidemic in the black community, too, when it never was. Why? We have lost our love for Jesus. We lost our love for God, and we have to get back to it. But how can they hear without a preacher? And how can he preach unless he be sent? That's what I'm doing today. That's why I wrote that book, and I'm asking all your listeners to please buy this book and to do not live in condemnation. Do not let these Black Lives Matter people make you believe that you've done anything wrong. When they come to you and tell you that they believe in white supremacy or that you have some type of white privilege over them, you tell them that they are a slave looking for a master, and you refuse to be their master. That they are free men and women, just like you are, and you will assist them in exercising their freedom, but you will no longer carry their wretchedness.
Absolutely.
And if they are Christians, they cannot be victims. They are heirs of Jesus Christ. They cannot be inferior to anyone or superior to anyone. We are equal.
Amen.
They cannot be victims if they are Christians, and you cannot live in condemnation if you're one. So we stand up and we stand together.
Amen.
Our nation back.
Amen.
Sometimes you have to have these trials and tribulations before you can have a great awakening, a great reformation. And I think that's what we're on the verge of. So this is not unto death. We're going to beat it, and we're going to come back stronger. I guarantee it.
You know, real quick, I want you to amplify your thoughts about the NBA with the Black Lives Matter logo on the court and on their jerseys, the NFL purporting that they're going to have a black national anthem, Major League Baseball starting up tomorrow. Yesterday in an exhibition game, the Cincinnati Reds were kneeling at the national anthem playing. I'm disgusted with pro sports, and I used to be a big advocate. I've had enough.
I agree with you. There's only one. See, we're talking about unity in America, but they want to have a black national anthem. There's one national anthem. There's only one. And these owners of these sports teams are the ones you got to look at. It's the politics of the owners. The players will do whatever you tell them to do because, you know, what else they're going to do to make them $2 million a year, right? Because the owners told them, no, this is what you're going to do. That's what they're going to do. No, it is the owner. It is not the players. The players work for the owners. The owners control it, and most of these owners are liberal. And their job is and they are the ones that are paying the Iron Triangle, most black preachers, most black politicians, most black civic organizers. They are the ones that are bankrolling this whole thing because in order to keep their power, they got to keep the black community completely where they are too. There's no doubt, man. We look at the politics of these owners. The majority of them, they are hardcore liberals. Hardcore. They live in their mansions in California, in Bel Air, up in Manhattan, but their power comes from those poor, wretched black people in the inner city that vote every 2 years for the politicians that keep their pockets lined. It is a vicious game, but they've always made their money off of the pain of black people. It's black people's pain Democrat Party gained from 1860 to 1860, from 1800 to 1860, slavery. From 1860 to 1865, the Civil War where they killed almost 1 million black people, 1 million Americans to keep black people in slavery. 1865 to 1965, 100 years of Jim Crow. Democrats killed, raped, maimed, looted, destroyed black families in order to keep them under control. After they could no longer keep them from voting, after 1965, they said, well, they can't vote, we're going to control the vote. And then we're going to abort as many of them as we can, and the ones that we don't abort, we're going to put in public educational system where we control what they think. They have to control the black community. And the only way this is going to stop is for Christians who white Christians and black Christians, go down and get their brothers and sisters that are locked down there. Because that's the only thing they got in common. Two things. We're Christians and Americans. And we got to go save them.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this man's welcome on my program anytime. And Vince, real fast, I'm almost out of time. Tell my audience how they can get a hold of your book called The Iron Triangle.
Go to my website, irontrianglebook.com. irontrianglebook.com. Usually Amazon is sold out. Like I said, it's been #1 for a long time. So if you can't get it on Amazon, go to barnesandnoble.com, walmart.com, or target.com. Go to your local bookstores. But go to my website, irontrianglebook.com. There are blogs there, excerpts from the book. Also, they'll list of some of my appearances that I've had lately. It's a great website. Please go to it. And look, y'all, we can beat this. Read my book. It's a primer that'll tell you how to talk to your friends on the left, your Christian friends on the left, and help pull them back over to the side of light and keep them out of the dark side. God bless you all, Devin. I love you, man. Keep doing the good work.
I'm going to tell you something when I say this back to you. God bless you right back at you. Do not ever quit coming on this program. You're a blessing. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Zeb. God bless.
All right, sir. Vince Everett Ellison, the author of a great book, The Iron Triangle, and I urge everybody to read it. You heard it right from him. We can solve these problems, but we've got to get tough, and we've got to get tough now. Time for the weather. And the weather, of course, brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And they are the accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area and beyond for well over 50 years. I mean, we're talking the professionals, the very best in tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, of course, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. And these folks really know, they really care and can help you, your family, and your business. Offices in Burley and Rupert. I'm talking about the professionals, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Here's Gina with the weather.
Showers and a red flag warning is what we're in for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting about a 50% chance of rain showers plus thunderstorms by the afternoon, so that's going to put us in that red flag warning. High of 86 is what we're looking at, and it's going to be a little bit breezy out there as well. Tonight, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 60 for tomorrow. Slight chance of showers in the late afternoon hours, plus some thunderstorms as well, mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of about 57. Then for Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather for Zevitz Ranch.
All right, thank you, Gina. By the way, Sean, is Gina right there available? Can she run and get on the microphone real quick? We'll ask. Yeah, maybe you didn't hear me. Weather forecast brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. The very best to help you, your family, and your business. Offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The professionals, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Sean, can you hear me, by the way? You got your headsets on?
Oh, we can hear you. John.
Oh, that's not Sean, unless all of a sudden he had an accident.
No, he did not have an accident.
I want you to explain something to my audience. You've used the terminology on my program before, and I want you to tell me what constitutes a red flag warning.
Okay, so a red flag warning means that when we have had super dry conditions as we have, that we haven't had a lot of rain, and when we have these storm systems move in, especially the ones that, the thunderstorms where we could have lightning strikes, those lightning strikes could obviously hit the ground and create a wildfire. Now, because of the tinder dry conditions that we have, that puts us into a red flag warning, which means that the probability or possibility of a wildfire being created by lightning, that percentage is increased greatly. So that's kind of what that means.
I thought maybe also, in addition to your services at the station, that Lee Family Broadcasting with their out backyard helicopter flew you up to Mount Harrison with red flags and you send Cephomore signals to the entire Magic Valley.
Well, it's kind of like smoke signals. That's truly what we use here. But honestly, if you look over towards Palmerell and Mount Harrison, looks like we had some rain showers over there this morning. So those rain showers are going to be kind of sort of making their way through our area. But those thunderstorms, be on the lookout for those, especially later this afternoon and this evening. And so if somebody sees, a thunderstorm roll through and a lightning strike, and you see obviously a plume of smoke, call the local authorities.
Bingo.
Greatly appreciated, yeah.
You've always jumped in and explained things, and I appreciate that. Sorry to bother you, but we appreciate it.
Oh, no. That's absolutely A-okay. And, hey, just so you know, we're still doing some testing. We're still working on it, and the next step is going to be switching out said piece of equipment.
All right. Thank you, Gina.
Just so you know.
I appreciate your help. Red flag warnings are out, and Gina is leading the charge. Thank you very much. Want to also tell you about our friends over at Patterson's Electronics. I make no bones about it. Deanne can tell you this is true. When it comes to electronics, if it says off, on, or turn up the volume, I'm really good at that. but nothing more, nor do I care to. I figure if you can't saddle it and ride it, what good is it? Well, I've learned a lot about electronics with our friends at Patterson's Electronics, Curtis and Lorena. They've got everything over there for your electronic needs to help make your life a lot more comfortable, a lot more fun. They've got all the home theater systems. They've got all the surveillance cameras. They've got all the complete car stereos and speakers. And they've got all the excellent TVs, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Wow. And they've got the knowledge to explain each and every piece of equipment to you. Much more than me. You get in there today at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena at Patterson's Electronics. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. You stop in and see those good folks today. I've got time for one call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to also remind you about the Bennett Boys Auction Service. They are going to have, they haven't had a lot of sales in the last couple of weeks, so we want to really highlight this one. It's going to be this coming Saturday. It's the Callan Estate Auction, and it's going to start at 11 o'clock over in Buell this coming Saturday. I could give you all the directions, but I'm going to go simply this way. It's located at 1281 East 4051 North of Buell. From Les Schwab Tires in Buell, go west on 4100 North, and then look for all the signs, okay? Watch for the auction signs. They're going to have a 83 Chevy pickup for sale. They're going to have a Gulfstream Sun Voyager Model A travel trailer for sale. They're going to have shop items. They're going to have a lot of lawn and garden items. Really some nice furniture and antiques and collectibles. All of this at the Callan Estate Auction coming up on this Saturday, July 25th at 11 o'clock over in Buell at 1281 East 4051 North. Look for the signs, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Absolutely. Lunch Bunch tomorrow at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, at 11:30, and we will look forward to having you there. We're going to maintain some rules and regulatory means to be in accordance with everybody else's wishes, but then after it's over and we're outside, do as you will. I will. And we're looking forward to it. We want to say thank you to Smith's Food King, Walmart, Stokes, Doug Martin, Denny's for the gift certificates that we will be providing tomorrow for Lunch Bunch at 11:30 tomorrow at Denny's. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Sean. Don't forget, we'll be back in about 7 minutes with more on Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, good morning. I hope you're having a great day on this Wednesday, July 22nd. My goodness sakes, the months and the days, they just whoop and they're gone. I'm telling you, I can't believe how fast summer's going away. Enjoy your day, and I thank you very much, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you in a very safe, clean environment with, the best in tires, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, don't forget, to our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. And seniors, this message is for you. That's right. This is a kind of a closed-in message for seniors. Listen. Greystone Crossing, absolutely a beautiful location, 12-bedroom home, and they furnish 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation. If you have not seen this facility, you'd better check it out today. Call them, 650-4979. I'll say it again because I messed it up the first time. 650-4979. Matt and Kelly Wiggins at Greystone Crossing. They'd set up an appointment and show you, seniors, a beautiful place to live with your friends. 1221 21st Street in Hayburn, Greystone Crossing Senior Living. You get a hold of those good folks today. Want to remind you, too, about savings and investment. And it's been about 3 months now. We were introduced to 7K metals with Lon Hardy and Sharon, and learning about silver purchases sent right to our home. You can build yourself your own financial security and future and create a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. And it's so easy. All you need to do is call 7K metals, Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call, and they'll share all the information about creating your own security bank through silver purchases with 7K metals. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and this gentleman has been on our program before, and the Pacific Legal Foundation sent me a picture of this gentleman, so I know who I'm talking to. There he is with a smile as big as a Cheshire cat. Daniel Ortner, how are you?
Doing well, yourself?
Not too bad. Daniel, you're always welcome on this program, and I know you do a lot of work with the Pacific Legal Foundation on our First Amendment and the erosion of our rights. And I'm going to kind of kick this thing off a little bit this morning, and I apologize, my throat's a little raspy, so occasionally if I sound like I'm losing it, I am. What's going on in this country? I have never seen more devastation and worry about our amendment rights in the Constitution as I am right now. Am I wrong?
No, I think this is a really difficult time for everyone with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, and it's causing a lot of worry about our constitutional rights. In a time of crisis, it's really a time when a lot of rights get eroded, and so we need to be extra vigilant right now to make sure that our rights are protected.
Break that down a little bit for us, though, Daniel. I mean, what should we be most concerned about? What's happening in society? What is the left doing? What are they trying to erase and take away from us?
So, what I'm most concerned about right now is what's happening during the coronavirus, where you have governors by themselves unilaterally making policy for states. That is not consistent with the separation of powers. We're supposed to have legislative branches who are elected directly by the people making law and policy, and just have the executive branch enforcing that policy. And that separation of powers is broken down completely during the coronavirus. In some states, like Connecticut, the legislature hasn't even met since March. They're enacting no laws and no policies, and instead, single individuals, governors, are deciding who can stay open, who can shut down, what happens to the economy, and that's broken. That's just not how it's supposed to be working.
Okay, but what is the assumption of power here, Daniel? I mean, are these governors, including our own out here in the state of Idaho, are they using assumptive authority without really consulting anybody, or are they just sitting down and kind of like Solomon, waving a scepter and saying, this is the way it's going to be, tough if you don't like it? What's going on here?
Yeah, so legislators give governors powers in an emergency, but in most cases those powers are limited. Governors today, right now, are going far beyond the powers they've been given by the legislator. The governors are often given the power, for instance, to quarantine specific individuals that have a disease. But they've taken that power to mean you can shut down whole swaths of the economy and tell people you can't leave your house, even if there's no suspicion you have a disease. So they're going far beyond the powers they've been given, and they're doing so often based on absolutely arbitrary reasons. To give you an example, because we're litigating a case in Connecticut right now on behalf of a nail salon that was forced to shut down for 3 months, and longer than other similar businesses like hair salons. And the reason the governor gave for this was, one, political pressure from powerful groups like hair salons lobbying the governor. Two, he said that the things they needed to reopen were too expensive, and some couldn't do it right on time, so we're going to delay everyone for several more weeks. These reasons, they're using are just not based on public health. They're based on all kinds of other considerations that shouldn't be what governors are thinking about during a pandemic.
Okay, we had a similar circumstance happen here back in March and April when all of a sudden many businesses were deemed A, essential, or B, non-essential. And the non-essentials were basically discarded into oblivion and told that they had to shut their doors, and if they starved to death and they lost their business, so be it. And I find it absolute lunacy to think that you can have your big box stores and your liquor stores stay open, but yet they come down on churches and other businesses that adhere to the safety practices of the hand washing, the mask wearing, and all the disinfectant, etc. How in the world can a governor play Solomon like this and literally run people out of business?
Yeah, it shouldn't be happening like that. And you may give a good example of these businesses that are able to employ good sanitation techniques, masking. I think that the personal care services like hair salons, nail salons, beauticians have been hit the hardest. In many states, they've been demonized or stigmatized. The governor said, we can blame them for the spread of the virus, when really there's no evidence for that. And they've been among the best at sanitation, the best at wearing masks, the best at keeping their customers safe. So it's really these good businesses that, small businesses, often run by like immigrants or first-generation Americans or people that are, just first-generation business owners really struggling to get by. Their small businesses are being really hammered in a really harmful way, and it's just not right, and governors shouldn't be unilaterally making these decisions.
Let me ask you this, Daniel, and you've always been a straight shooter on this program, whether it's a nail salon or whether it's a fitness center. And my attention, I know a little bit about the fitness center back in New Jersey that is defying the governor of New Jersey, and yet they're adhering to all the safety and the health precautions. I mean, what happens to these people? I mean, where does the government come in and act like a Gestapo and going to shut them down and lose everything?
Yeah, well, I mean, if a business is not complying, the government would have the power to come in and fine the business, or even potentially jail the owner for defying the order, which is really scary. I mean, that's the kind of power the government has, and that's why these laws should be, or these rules should be enacted the right way as a law by the legislator. There should be legitimacy to it rather than arbitrariness, which is what's happening right now.
Yeah, Daniel, is there I guess the best way to say this, is there a lack of understanding by the American public today because of our education and the lack of education about our Constitution and our amendments, etc., in the school system? Are people being kowtowed into doing something that's not legal because they're afraid to fight back?
Well, I think we've gotten really complacent, and education plays a big role in that, of people being willing to give up the rights that they have in the Constitution, and give more and more power to Washington and more power to the governors of the states, rather than demanding the government to follow these protections. And we think about separation of powers as this esoteric thing that only matters for lawyers, but really the purpose for the separation of powers was to protect liberty, to stop the government from doing something arbitrarily or tyrannically. You have checks and balances in place, and we've let those slip. This crisis is really revealing that, and it's hopefully a moment where people will begin to step back and say, what happened? How have we gotten to this point where now governors run whole economies without any input from legislators? So it's a really disturbing situation.
Have we, as a American populace, let this go too far so that regardless of you or the Pacific Legal Foundation or anybody else, we can't stop the bus from going over the hill?
I don't think so. I'm hopeful that we will be able to fight back and win. We're fighting right now in courts across the country. I mentioned our Connecticut case, for instance, saying the governor does not have this authority under state law and under the Constitution to be running the economy the way he's doing. And hopefully courts will begin to wake up and fight back. And part of the problem is the judges have gotten complacent and said it's really been very deferential to these government bureaucrats, letting them do what they want. So hopefully this crisis will wake up people and wake up the judiciary, and there will be a pushback to it.
In the story that you had written, and I've got it right here in my hand, it was called Quarantines for Out-of-State Visitors Exceeds Governor's Emergency Authority. You wrote that piece. There was one line that really stood out for me, and it was on the second page, and it said, finally, sweeping restrictions on travel violate the fundamental constitutional right to travel in this United States. I added that on. I'm looking at a society where I'm very afraid that because of this virus or any other major concern, they could say, you leave your house, you're under arrest. This is very concerning to me.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. The Constitution guarantees that we are a union, a nation, a united nation, a United States, which means that people can travel between states freely. They can move from state to state freely. They can engage in commerce across state lines freely. The founders were very concerned about states rivaling with each other, putting up tariffs, putting up restrictions on access. And the Constitution did away with that. Said, no, we are one united country. Everyone's right to equal commerce and equal trade and equal protection is protected. And that is being eroded during the coronavirus.
You know, another subject matter, and I know we're getting off the tracks here a little bit, but property rights. I know you specialize in a lot of stories and cases about property rights. Is private property really on a diminishment course right now to where private property rights and the owners, boy, they're going to be relegated to obscurity by the courts?
Well, let me tell you, I think that there are serious problems, but there are also reasons for hope and optimism. We just had a big win. One of my colleagues has been fighting this for years in Michigan over the topic of home equity theft, where governments could come and if you owed a couple of dollars, our client had $6 in taxes, they would take your whole property and give you back none of the proceeds. They would keep all of it for themselves, for their coffers. The Michigan Supreme Court just issued a decision last week saying that is unlawful. That violates the Constitution of the state and the federal Constitution. That was a big win for property rights. These wins are still happening. We are fighting back, and I think the tide is turning in favor of property rights in some meaningful respects. Home equity theft hopefully will be a thing of the past if our attorneys at the Pacific Legal Foundation have anything to say about it. So that's one example of where there really is positive progress, something I'm really excited about. I do think there's reason to be worried, especially with what's happening in states like California, where property owners can't return to their own houses without paying a fine to those living in their home. They can't rent their house freely. They can't choose who they allow to be in their home. There are serious problems. We're fighting back against that. But I think there are reasons for your listeners and for everyone to be optimistic about some of the positive steps, progress that has happened as well.
Daniel, we have a caller with a question or a comment. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, speaking of private property rights, and I hope you haven't heard this, I'm a very busy man, and I haven't been able to listen to the entire program here, but, those man and wife in St. Louis who were protecting the property, and the St. Louis prosecuting attorney was going to prosecute him, and then the Attorney General of Missouri and others, Senator from Missouri also, they were going to step in and put an end to this, but you see to yourself, you can't even defend your own property from some sort of impending doom. This kind of thing makes a person worried across this nation because private property rights are a cornerstone here. And so, you'd like to think that people would see this and go, well, geez, this is not something we can allow. Will people wake up and, start to fight back? I'll hang up. Thank you.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Daniel. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, I think that generally we need to be concerned about our rights and fight back in the courts and in the court of public opinion and in the legislators defend rights, defend individual freedoms. I think that is happening. Fortunately, it will continue to happen. Groups like the Pacific Legal Foundation will not stop fighting, and individuals shouldn't stop defending their rights either and speaking out for them as well.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Daniel, but you are a lawyer that's very well versed in the First Amendment and property rights, etc. And I don't mean to beleaguer the story about the McCloskeys, but really I would have done the very same thing if people had broken into private property through a steel gate and had threatened to burn and kill. I would have gone and got a weapon also on my property. I cannot fathom how anyone protecting their lives and their property could ever be arrested for a felony of wielding a weapon, according to the prosecuting attorney in St. Louis. Do you care to comment on that or not?
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't followed the story closely. It is disturbing that people would be arrested for anything they're doing on their own property that doesn't directly harm anyone else. It is a general matter. If you're on your own property, you're not going after anyone. You should not be arrested. I think there's a lot of overreach going on there. But I don't have any strong. I don't know the details, all the details of that story well enough to comment on the specifics.
Well, according to what you've been telling us, I mean, we've got to get more organized. We've got to get better educated. We have to realize what our First Amendment rights are and what we can do. And it's up to us, the people, we, the people of the United States, to be more aware of what's happening before the left tries to take more away from us. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just the left. It's everyone. Both sides are unfortunately equal opportunity offenders for taking away individual rights. It's not unique to the left. We need a focus on freedom, a focus on individual liberty. Speech is a really good example of this, where we've gotten to the point where if someone disagrees with you, we're going to try to silence them. We're going to shut them out. We're not willing to listen to people that are different than us, think differently. And that is deeply antithetical to the First Amendment. It's contrary to a free society. You can't have a free society where people don't listen to each other and debate ideas rather than engage in force. So it's really scary that we're losing that fundamental ability to debate and reason with each other.
Our college campuses, I meant to ask you this earlier, but are college campuses, in your opinion, getting better or worse in the dictation of whether or not you can have free speech or demanding that you only go to a free speech zone, etc.? What's happening on our campuses? I know the last couple of years things have really gone bad.
It's a bit ironic. The university's policies with regard to things like speech zones are actually getting better, but the culture on campus is getting worse. And it's really, if you look at Greg Lukiano's excellent Coddling of the American Mind book from a couple of years ago, he talks about how the students themselves are now the ones calling for censorship. And that never happened before. That didn't happen when I was a college student, even 10, 15 years ago. So there's a fundamental shift where now the students are the ones calling for censorship. And that's really scary. They should be the champions of free speech, and instead they're calling for safe zones and safe spaces and censorship of different ideas. So we need to teach the younger age individuals to not be afraid of differences. Speech is not violence. If I say something you disagree with, I'm not hurting you. I'm not inflicting physical harm on you. You can disagree with me, but you can't silence me because of my ideas. And that concept needs to be taught, I think, to the younger generation in order to keep speech really free in America. Otherwise, we're going to lose that. If people equate speech with violence, you're saying something I don't like, therefore you're causing physical violence to me, then the reaction is going to be to shut the people up, to silence them and stifle them. And that is not going to be healthy for our democracy, for our society.
I know that you went to school at Brigham Young University down in Provo area. Did you notice any of the... Pardon me?
No, for law school.
Yes. Did you notice any of the infringements on free speech at that school at that time?
Well, Brigham Young University is a private religious university, and so there are limitations on speech that a university imposes as a private institution. But it's funny because the culture there is actually people disagree with each other very respectfully. There's a real debate about certain about topics that I actually didn't see in other more liberal arts universities. So it was really, I was really grateful for that. But I went to Brandeis University for my undergraduate in the Northeast, and there were a lot of examples of speech being stifled there. A professor who was put on a watch list, given sensitivity training in his Latin American politics class, teaching the origin of the term wetback. All he did was explain how did this term come about, what does it mean, and why is it problematic. And because of that, he was censored by the university. He was forced to go to sensitivity training. He was disciplined, warned by the university. So that was one really outrageous example of oversensitivity at work.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel, you're welcome here anytime. Daniel Ortner with Pacific Legal Foundation. While we have just a moment here, Daniel, please tell everybody how they can follow the Pacific Legal Foundation and this story and others.
Sure. Our website is pacificlegal.org. You can go there to read all about our latest cases. We are also on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, at Pacific Legal on Twitter. Come read all about how we're fighting coast to coast to defend individual liberties, standing up for your fundamental rights.
I appreciate you, Daniel. You do a great job. Thank you very much, and come back soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Very interesting individual, attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation, Daniel Ortner, and specializing in our First Amendment rights, property rights, and economic liberty, and what's really going on in this country. And we're losing them. We're losing our rights. Why? Because, first of all, I'm going to blame the schools. I'm going to blame the schools for not teaching our Constitution and our rights. I'm going to blame the churches for not standing up and demanding better of the social problems that are going on in every community, every state. And then I'm going to blame our politicians for having no backbone to stand up for what's right. Calls are welcome. I got time for one call. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I have just a minute, I want to remind you about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Holy moly, have they got a great event going over there. Jeff was on our program here about, 2 weeks ago and talking about the sensational flooring event. Now, here's what they've done. They have 3 different classifications of carpet. Your low, medium, and your high priced, okay? And you can pick out the one you want for your house, and you can carpet your entire home at prices that are extremely low. And then, for those of you who want the luxury vinyl for your home, same thing. 3 different price classifications, and you go in and select what you want for like your kitchen, living room, hall, bath, and utility room, all of this and more. I'm telling you, this is a great flooring event. 48 months, same as cash, on approved credit at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Where are they located? Of course, 459 Overland in Burley. The best serving you, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Wow. Coming up next half hour, I should say, we're going to stay with the vein of becoming a better America. And we have with us American of Puerto Rican descent and serves as the editorial director for ReactionaryTimes.com. He's been on our program before, and he's a featured columnist at the Washington Times and also the Epic Times. And that's Julio Rivera. And we're going to be talking to him about the mess we're in America and how maybe we can clean it up. You stay tuned. I'm going to send it back over to Sean for a few minutes. I'll be right back. Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, welcome back to our last half hour. And they always say, save the best for last. And right now, I feel like we've got a great gentleman coming on the program. He is the editorial director for ReactionaryTimes.com. Good morning, Julio Rivera. How are you?
I am fantastic, Zeb. Thank you so much for having me.
Boy, it's been a long time. Where you been hiding?
I've been hiding in Bulgaria, of all places in the world. We moved the the global operation for ReactionaryTimes.com to Plovdiv, Bulgaria. So kind of when the whole COVID thing exploded, I was traveling back and forth about every 6 to 8 weeks, but I've been stuck in Europe for almost 5 months.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'm going to take a little time here because you got to help me. I've traveled to a lot of foreign countries, but I have never been to Bulgaria. And what is life like? What's a day in the life of Julio Rivera in Bulgaria?
Well, let me tell you something. It's a cafe culture. It's a very beautiful, it's the cultural capital of Bulgaria. There's a lot of really nice stuff there. It's very modern. The internet is fast. The people are very warm and friendly. It's actually a really nice place to be, comparatively speaking, because I'm from New Jersey, where everybody's rude and everybody has an attitude. The New York, New Jersey, area, everybody's a tough guy. It's kind of like the anti-that in Bulgaria.
Over in Bulgaria, are they perceiving exactly what's happening here in the United States? Do they understand our problems? Do they understand the turmoil? Do they understand that we're a nation under siege by a wicked left right now?
I think they do. They're actually, right now, there's a little bit of an uprising against corruption in the Bulgarian government. It happens every couple of years, but this year the movement seems a little bit different, and they've been taking to the streets, and I've been watching these protests happen on a regular basis where they're up and down, walking down the streets. The problem is in Eastern Europe, so much of it is run by organized crime, and, the regular citizens are sick and tired of certain class of people getting favors. kind of the way that this happened here in the United States with the swamp and the Joe Bidens and the Romneys and those types of people kind of getting over and getting money from these foreign countries. I think that people over there are sick of it, and they're actually doing something about it.
Julio, you've had a chance to be on two continents and study the problem that's going on here in this country. I'm an old man. I'm 72 years old, and I've never seen this country, the United States of America, on such shaky legs as it is right now. This next election is going to be extremely critical in November. I honestly will come out and say that if Biden and his puppeteers are elected, this country is doomed. We have to stop the left from its encroachment. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely true. I mean, it's kind of, we were at this point, I think, last time, too. I think if we would have gotten a third term of Obama, in a sense, as that's what everybody was saying, if Hillary Clinton had gotten elected, I think that, we were at a bad point. The last couple of weeks of Obama's first or second term, rather, he was putting hundreds of regulations on the books. They were, basically capitalism killing regulations that were no good, no bueno. Basically, what wound up happening is Trump undid a lot of that. So we're at a different point, kind of, but if you really look at it, in a sense, even though there's a lot of crazy things going on, we're not really in a bad place. It's just a perception, because you've got these left-leaning mayors and governors that are allowing this anarchy. They're playing it up. They're trying to scare, the population. They want to keep people home. They want people, they're going to throw away all the mail ballots that are Republican, and they're going to try to keep people from coming out and voting in person. They're going to try to do all these things, but it's really up to the citizens of the United States to say, we've had enough of this garbage, and we're not going to put up with it anymore, and we're going to take our country back, and we're going to make sure that we vote to keep our republic in place this November.
Okay, but therein lies the problem. I have a lot of respect for you and your opinion. That's why I asked you back on this program. Will the American public see through this phony, false Western Front building of Biden and the left, and will they re-implement Donald Trump back as the commander-in-chief, or are they going to lean to the left and say, okay, it's too late, we can't change things?
No, I think that his base, President Trump's base is firmly with him. I think that he did so much in the first 3 years for the economy that he's probably won over a lot of new voters. So I think he's probably going to win with a larger electoral victory than he had the previous time. I don't think it's going to be the landslide that he would have gotten had the Chinese government not released this virus onto the world just as the ink was drying on the Phase 1 trade deal. But I think that he still will win firmly. And I think when he wins the second time around, if he's able to get the House of Representatives, I think a lot of people are going to finally have to be made to pay for their indiscretions. And I'm talking about the Pelosi's, the Romneys, the Schiffs, all the people that participated also in the intelligence community, kind of attempted coup against President Trump. A lot of that is going to be, the receipt is going to be handed out on a lot of that should the president win re-election.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. When you talk to the people over in Bulgaria, the man on the street type interviews, etc., and you start mentioning about what's going on in Portland with 55 straight nights of degradation and destruction and burning and looting, and then the shootings in Chicago and the entire mess of the left in this country, what do they say about the United States?
It's a serious lack of self-respect. I think that's what you're seeing when these people come in and they destroy their own communities. It's horrible. And the problem that's been going on in Chicago for years, in St. Louis and Baltimore, if you actually look at the list of where, the highest crime cities and the most dangerous cities, Chicago is actually barely in the top 10, believe it or not, even despite all the shootings and how highly publicized it is. It really is a shame. And I think, the American left should be ashamed of themselves to let their communities deteriorate to this point for political reasons. And it's really what they continue to do. They perpetuate this poverty, and they've made this poverty generational, and they've made people dependent on the government. And that's the reason why they keep getting elected into these places. It's unfortunate byproduct of low information voters, which is what these, horrible, educational systems in these urban areas keep on churning out.
Isn't it absolutely pathetic on the information sheet about having you on the air? I know that you want to talk a little bit about Goya Foods and the CEO. I absolutely respect the man. When Obama was in office, he praised Barack Obama, and when asked to be at the White House and go with Donald Trump, he absolutely said nice things about Donald Trump. But the backlash from the left was to hurt Goya Foods and run them out of business. This is deplorable. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, that's not going to happen. I'm actually here in Puerto Rico now. I've been in Bulgaria, but I actually have arrived for my extended 6-week vacation. I'm in Puerto Rico for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be in the United States doing a lot of work for some congressional candidates, helping out, doing my activism, putting my time in before the election. But, you're not going to run Goya out of business. That's not going to happen. I think Puerto Ricans, Hispanics in America, and all through, North, South, and Central America, Goya is such an important part of our culture that they're never going to go out of business. They're if anything, they've only done better. I think the left, in their attempt to try to hurt the company, has been the best marketing promotion they could have ever come up with. And then you've seen, obviously, the president and his daughter, Ivanka, try to push Goya products as well, and sales are through the roof. So, they failed miserably with their attempt to try to hurt a minority-owned business, a Hispanic-owned family business.
Let me ask you this. I know that we've mentioned Puerto Rico, and let's get right to the bottom line. What are your thoughts, or your family's thoughts, or your friends and neighbors' thoughts, where you are currently, about statehood for Puerto Rico?
I don't know. I mean, there's some people that have a strong nationalism sort of feel, even though it's not really its own nation, that their Puerto Rican pride doesn't want Puerto Rico to become a state. There's people that are very sober thinking, I think, when they realize the debt and the issues that the country, or that that the Commonwealth has, that they probably would be better off as a state. And then there's people that want to remain a Commonwealth, and so that way they retain some semblance of independence from the United States. But I mean, ultimately, it is kind of ran as a state, but it's ran very poorly, I think, by a lot of crooked politicians. And I think they really, if there was ever a place that needed reform, it's Puerto Rico. My dad, I remember we talked about this a couple of years ago, after the hurricanes, and, the PREPA, did such a horrible job, and they squandered so much money that the power grid was a mess. And, my dad died as a result of not being able to get dialysis for a period because of the electricity being out. So there was a lot of really bad and a lot of terrible mismanagement here, and a lot of tragedy as a result of it. So, I mean, if there was ever a place that needed political reform, it would definitely be Puerto Rico.
Let me ask you this. You do the editorial directorship for reactionarytimes.com. Explain to my audience what you do daily to try to help America and make people's lives better. Tell us what you do.
Well, we try to cover the news from a who, what, when, where, why perspective. We post a lot of conservative opinion. I mean, our contributors are great people. I mean, we have like Ernest Ista, former congressman, George Landreth, Dan Was, who's a big Second Amendment activist, Dan Perkins. A lot of great political opinion that we get from the right. So we try to amplify their messages. In addition to that, we do the Reactionary Times TV show, which we just had our season finale last weekend with our guest Xander Gibb. But we had great guests throughout the whole season. People like Alan West, my friend Billy Preppa, who's running in the congressional district in Patterson, New Jersey, where I grew up, and I'm going to be helping him a lot next month in August. And we featured Joe Collins, who's running against Maxine Waters, Lauren Whiskey, who's running against Chris Coons in Delaware for Senate. Basically, the people that are going out there and really going to try to fight our fight for us in Washington, D.C., we try to amplify their message, try to get the word out, and try to help as much as we can, so hopefully this will be a successful November.
Let me ask you this, Julio. You mentioned the two words conservative opinion in the last paragraphical sentences you were using. Is there a increase or a distinct decrease in conservative thought of the people that you know and visit with?
You know what? I think that it's hard to say, man. I mean, I've always looked at it like this. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I think that's the important thing. And and I'm a conservative and a libertarian when it comes to our natural rights. I don't want anybody telling me how to live my life, and I don't want to be giving the government one penny more than is necessary to give them to keep us safe. And obviously there's a lot of fraud and abuse in government, and these are things that have to be taken care of. But ultimately, other than the abortion issue, I'm pretty liberal when it comes to my social opinions. I mean, I really don't care what people do, how people want to live their lives, as long as they're not hurting anybody. The only issue that I fight tooth and nail for is the issue of this abortion on demand is horrible. I think that we should outlaw abortion completely in America. I think it's barbaric and it shouldn't exist anymore. But it's weird. It's like, I know my child, who's Generation Z, my oldest one, she's very fiscally conservative, and she has sort of that libertarian mindset too when it comes to a lot of social issues. So,
well, I want to tell you how much I appreciate.
Although I'm a conservative, I consider myself very libertarian as well.
I appreciate your viewpoint, and you're always welcome here. The editorial director of reactionarytimes.com. Thank you, Julio Rivera. Please come back soon. Stay safe, and we'll look forward to having you back on the program.
God bless. Thank you so much, and I'll be happy to be on anytime, Zeb.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. From Bulgaria, now to Puerto Rico, and coming back to the States shortly. And that gentleman is a real asset to have on the air because he gets the perspective of what's going on all across the globe. He's a featured columnist at the Washington Times, Toronto Sun, Epoch Times, and others. Julio Rivera. Thank you very much. Okay, time, and I'm going to take some more calls here in a minute. I want to hear from you folks out in the audience. We've had a lot of interesting people on the program this morning, and so I'm going to turn it over to you in just a moment. But first of all, I'm going to get the weather forecast. But before the weather forecast, I'm going to tell you about a great place to go eat. I'm telling you, you will not leave hungry. It's phenomenal food. It's at Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley, right across from the golf course. I'm telling you, they have delicious food. The menu is just chock full of great items for you, your family, your friends, and neighbors to just really enjoy. They're open Tuesday through Thursdays 11 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays 11 to 9, and they do catering too. I'm telling you, it's great food, from sandwiches to steaks. You're going to love the food at Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Right now, let's get our weather forecast on quickly, and then I'll take some more of your phone calls. And our weather is being brought to you by our friends at Scarrow's Meats. My. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, they have really served the public in Magic Valley for a long time with the most delicious meats, all the different meats, whether it's tri-tip all the way to the marinated pork ribs, or whether it's the hams, or all the different flavors of bacon, all the different bratwurst. Oh, boy, one word sums it up: delicious. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious meats. Number to call, 324-7657. Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Showers and a red flag warning is what we're in for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting about a 50% chance of rain showers plus thunderstorms by the afternoon, so that's going to put us in that red flag warning. High of 86 is what we're looking at, and it's going to be a little bit breezy out there as well. Tonight, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 64. Tomorrow, slight chance of showers in the late afternoon hours, plus some thunderstorms as well, mostly sunny skies. High of 90 with an overnight low of about 57. Then for Friday, sunny and 86. That's a look at your weather for Zevitz Rain.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Again, that telephone number to call Don and the crew, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. Okay, now it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to take a little survey here real quick, and I'd like to see how many people will call and let me know what you feel. Do you oppose or do you approve of removing all the Confederate statues across the United States and changing the names of the military bases. I want to take a quick survey. Do you approve of removing all of the Confederate statues, whether it's Robert E. Lee or whomever, and also renaming all of our military bases? What are your thoughts? While I'm waiting for some of your calls, I was reading a story that said more than 50% of Americans oppose removing public statues dedicated to the Confederate generals and the Confederacy. The poll showed that 80% of Republicans and 60% of independents oppose removing such monuments. But Democrats, meanwhile, 74% were in favor of eradicating any and all statues or memorabilia of the Confederacy. Caller, what are your thoughts on that? You're on the air. Go ahead.
I'm opposed to removing them.
Okay, why?
Because they're natural history. We need to leave history alone. It's good, bad, and indifferent, but it's still history. It needs to be left where it's at.
I couldn't agree more. That's my feeling, Jerry.
Getting rid of it.
I agree with you.
Help one single person by destroying it.
Absolutely. I'm going to put you down as you want to keep our history intact and not whitewashed and sanitize everything, and I appreciate that. Jerry, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
I disapprove.
You disapprove of what?
Removing the statue.
Okay, well, it was a little ambiguous the way you said it. So you believe that we should have our history, good, bad, or ugly, intact and not whitewashed, right?
You broke up on me. I can barely hear you.
Well, I've had problem with this darn sound system on this microphone for a long time, but I said you are in approval of leaving our statues of the Confederacy and also the Civil War up and remain a historical fact. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. I appreciate your call. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for calling. Caller number 3, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
I'm opposed, Deb. If it starts with this, where does it end? We're going to be up in arms about everything.
Absolutely.
And it is our history. We need to learn from our history. And this is just a distraction. We need to move forward and focus on what is going on.
Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever traveled down in the South, whether it's Georgia, Alabama, or anywhere? What did you find and what did you learn when you talked to people down in the South about the Civil War and the Confederacy? What did you find?
Well, you get down deep in there and there's a lot of mixed feelings. But I feel like it is our history. And where does this stop? Tearing down the statues? Are they going to be happy with that? What now?
That's absolutely right.
Where is it going to end?
I agree with you entirely. Thank you for calling in, and God bless you. Appreciate it. I will say this, and I've traveled in the South perhaps more than most people have, and the family ties, the deaths of family heritage and members during the Civil War, etc., are they to be whitewashed and forgotten? No. And that's why I think that the South, even though you might say it's divisive against the United States, no, I don't believe so. It's a part of our heritage, part of our history, and one to be studied and not be repeated, but to be studied and appreciated for the blood, sweat, and tears that was given on both sides. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, when we were willing to buckle to this pressure, then it'll never end. See?
That's right.
It'll never end. I go to school every day, and the bully picks on me, and he's never going to quit picking on me until I pop him in the mouth.
There you go.
If I got guts enough to do so.
Yep.
These people will never stop. We're going to never hear the end of it. The Civil War, slavery, reparations, that's what's on the table now. We're going to pay you back for all the stuff that happened to your ancestors. It's just a joke, and you just hope that there's enough people in this country that have enough will and, and they're informed enough to know better to do something that is right to save what feeds them.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Randy, you made an excellent point. Randy, wait a minute, you made an excellent point. Don't overshadow it. People that are informed enough. You can't be informed if you eradicate and erase the past, can you?
No, and the thing of it is they don't even know history enough to know what it is they're doing. I mean, they're tearing down their own, they're just, how many of these businesses in Portland and Seattle were owned by black people?
That's right.
That were destroyed by these insane people.
I got to run, Randy. I've got another call. I appreciate it, and thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir. Call it quickly. I've got time for one more call. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Okay. First, I'm against the removal of the statues, the way they've been doing it. However, I'm not against having a conversation to talk about individual statues and the people they represent. But the left doesn't want to have those conversations. They just want to tear them all down. That's where the problem for me arises, is that they don't even want to have a conversation. They just willy-nilly run around tearing everything down.
Sir,
that should not be the case. If they were genuine in their beliefs, they need to bring them one at a time, and let's address the issue and talk about it.
Amen.
I don't want to do that.
Amen. I don't know who this caller is, but I want to tell you that's a very good observance. Nobody has ever asked me my opinion. They just tear down and destruct. God bless you for your calls. Thank you very much, and I want to remind everybody we're going to be back here tomorrow morning, but before we leave, I think I'm going to be back here tomorrow morning. I want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and believe me, they are the best at what they do. With the best of tires and brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. But above all, the word service. They really care. They really care about your driving safety. Stop in and check out all the tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs, trailers, whatever. And don't forget, when I talk about brake service, they've got the highly trained brake technicians that know their job. Please stop in and see James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, Trent on Overland in Burley. 7 locations serving you with the best for your driving safety. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Whew, day's done. It's hot in here. It's warm outside. Have a good day, and we'll be back tomorrow. The way things are, the way things ought. Wait, I'm going to start that over again. I messed up my own slogan. The way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to us: in God we trust. I really appreciate my audience. Don't forget Lunch Bunch tomorrow at 11:30 at Denny's. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.